Good evening, Donald from D&D Defense, back with another video. I'm making this video as a follow-up to another video that I made, which is levels of defenses. And what I want to go into in this video are parts of those levels of defenses, particularly the avoidance element of it, which would be level 3, and then level 2 would be physical, and a physical altercation, and then eventually a physical altercation at some point leads to weapons of some sort, which would be a level 1. For right now, we're going to focus on just level 3. And so one of the things that I had mentioned in the previous video was situational awareness. Part of situational awareness is being aware of your environment, looking at your environment, and ultimately making the right decision. And so I'm not the best drawer, so I'm going to do the best I can to drive home my point or illustrate my point as best as possible. So just bear with me. So as you can see, or at least I hope you can see the drawing that I have here. Essentially what this is is your work and you need to go home. So for the purposes of what I'm trying to convey here is we're just saying that your job or your place of employment, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be your place of employment. It could be a friend's house, whatever. It doesn't really matter. That's less relevant than what I'm going to highlight. So you're leaving here, and so these little dots represent like street lights or something like that, and then these little stick figures are basically people that are kind of utilizing this main sidewalk area, okay? This little area is an alley, okay? Now, let's just say that you're actually having to go from home to work, and you're running late, and because of that tardiness, you're going to be reprimanded in some sort of way, whether it's a write-up, getting fired. There's going to be some sort of consequence to that. You know that you've been tardy a lot, whatever. And so you have a decision to make. You can take the longer route to your job and be late, or you can take the shorter route and make it on time. Now, there's a caveat to this. If you take the longer route where there's street lights, there's people walking, it's just busier. You're more likely to be in the public. as opposed to an alley, not so much. This is where situational awareness is relevant, because it's not, situational awareness isn't just necessarily just observing your environment. While that's a key component in situational awareness, situational awareness is also your ability to be aware of the consequences or potential risks that certain decisions would make. And so you have to weigh those risks. And in this case, if you take the longer route, you're going to get to your job late and maybe get fired, maybe get written up. You really don't know, but you know there will be a consequence. Or you take the dark alley and, you know, make it to work on time, but once again, there's a risk with that as well. You know, so the risk going a long way is getting written up or getting in trouble at work. Going down the alley is, you know, it's not well lit. There's not a lot of people there, a lot of good hiding spots for criminals. And so I think anybody watching this video can see where I'm going with this. And so you have a decision to make. And, you know, once again, when you're talking about situational awareness, part of that is keeping your wits about you and not panicking. And the reason why I say that is that when people are late and they feel like they're going to get fired or reprimanded, or the pressure is put on them, they tend to make worse decisions than they normally would have had they not been pressured. And so you woke up late, the pressure is already on. So at this point, you have a decision to make. It's either take this dark alley or you walk the long route and be late to work and potentially get fired or, you know, reprimanded in some sort of way. Now, while this may sound like I'm blaming the victim, because one could make the legitimate argument, well, I should be able to walk anywhere without fear of, you know, having something bad happen to me. And yes, I would agree if we lived in a perfect world, but we don't. We live in a world where there's evil people that want to do bad things to people. And once again, in my previous video, I mentioned that thinking like a criminal is going to put you a step ahead of the criminal. And so in this case specifically, criminals like dark spaces. They don't want to be in the light. They don't want to be seen by other people for the obvious reasons. They don't want their criminal actions to be witnessed, or, you know, they don't want to be exposed in some sort of way. And so they pick their environment, you know, carefully. And so dark alleys are just asking for, you know, to be a victim, because 9 times out of 10, there's a criminal waiting for you to mug you. If you're a woman, maybe even sexually assault you. I mean, there's just evil people out there. So while we, you know, there may be this utopic belief that, you know, I should be able to walk anywhere without fear of danger. Okay, fine. And, you know, not to be sarcastic or, you know, make people feel stupid or anyway, but if we lived in a world full of unicorns and rainbows, then that might be the case. But unfortunately, we don't. And so we have to have our wits about ourselves and say, okay, what is the best decision here? Either decision really isn't the greatest decision. Your options aren't very great. But you know, as I pointed out in my original video, survival is the primary focus, no matter what. If you go down this dark alley and you get mugged or you get sexually assaulted, and then it escalates and you get murdered, well, you're still not making it to work and you don't have your life anymore. Or if you do survive the encounter, you're going to have, you know, psychological issues, some sort of PTSD, depending on the severity of the assault. But best believe if there is an assault, you're still going to make it to work late. So I guess the one thing you would have to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? And I don't think risking your life and limb is ever worth the risk for a job. Money comes and goes. And I hate to make that sound, nonchalant, but it's a fact. We spend money, we lose money, money comes and goes. You can get money back. You can't get a new life. Once your life is gone, or you've experienced a certain type of trauma, that is there for life. Now, you can heal from trauma and move on from it, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't scarred you emotionally. And so, and maybe even physically, or both. So I think at that point, when you frame it in your head like that, the choice becomes obvious. Going the long route and face the consequences of work. And I mean, not for nothing, if you're late for work, that means you've already made the mistake of waking up late, or doing something wrong that caused you to be late in the first place. And so if you don't want that to happen, and you don't want to be put in a position where you have to make these choices, then, wake up earlier. Get things going earlier. That's always a good recommendation, in my opinion. The last part of this that I'll touch on, but I'm not going to go in depth, and maybe I'll make another video on it, is routine. As I maybe pointed out in the first video, thinking like a criminal is also understanding that criminals don't have a 9 to 5. They have all the time in the world to watch what you're doing, where you're going. And if you think that they're not doing that, and then more so, they're not sitting there with a pen and paper writing things down, you're sadly mistaken. These people have had probably years and years to hone their craft, and if they make their living on burglaries or robberies or whatever, then best believe they're going to perfect that craft. And part of that craft is, paying attention to your routine and writing it down. So, for example, you leave Monday morning at 7 a.m. You don't come back until 4 p.m. But you come back for lunch. So all these things at 12 p.m. Your wife is gone at 6 a.m. and is not back until 5 p.m. All these little things, they're going to say, all right, does he have an alarm system? What kind of car does he drive? License plate. They're going to follow you, see what route you take. They're going to time how long the route actually takes, so they know if you take that route, or it's on a day that you take that route, they know, okay, this is how long it's going to take for this person to get home. Okay? So I won't go into any more detail on that now. As I said, I'll probably make another video just in the interest of keeping this video short. But in a nutshell, what I'm saying is situational awareness is more than just being aware of your environment. It's being aware of decisions that you have to make, and making those correct decisions, even if it's at your own detriment elsewhere. So, and what I mean by that is, in the scenario that I laid out, you're probably going to get written up or maybe even fired. But I'd much rather be fired from my job than have my life taken, or in the case of a female, be sexually assaulted or mugged and traumatized for life. We don't want that. So you have to, and cops don't come until after a crime has been committed. So don't depend on them. Your safety is your responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your own safety. You have to take responsibility for how your life turns out, and that includes your safety. So when I say situational awareness encompasses a lot of different things, and this is just one element of that. And the other element is what I had mentioned in the earlier videos, which is, you know, walking upright, keeping your vision, walking with a purpose, things of that nature. So with that said, if you want more content, please subscribe, leave any comments below in the comments section. If you have any questions with regards to the video, I will try and answer them. If you are in the Hartford County area and are looking for self-defense lessons, whether it be with firearms or in the martial arts arena, I do provide martial arts training as well as firearms training. You can look me up on my website, which is D&D Defense. I also have Instagram handle, which is D&D underscore defense underscore personal underscore training. So you can look me up on Instagram as well. And if you're viewing this video, then you probably already have my handle for my YouTube. If for whatever reason you don't, it's D&D Defense at Myers 51. So go into the website and look up the options that I have. That being said, I'm in the process of updating my website to offer more options. So in my contact information is there as well. So if you have any additional questions beyond this video, please don't hesitate to contact me, and we can set up a time that is best suited for you, as well as a program that is best suited for you, as I'm willing to customize individually people's programs, whether it's them just wanting to get in shape, learning just the basics of safety and firearms, or some basic tactical sequences as well, or grappling, striking, or a combination of the two. But either way, go to my website, go to my YouTube page, go to my Instagram, check me out, and comment below, as well as if you would like to see more content. Thank you, and be safe.